there. Thank you for tuning in to another signature interview that I have with my wonderful guests. I love learning stories. I love learning how people are navigating this thing called life. I love learning what other people are doing, how they are sharing their gifts, their talents. And this young lady that's with me today is my sister friend, Gloria Brown from the Bay Area here in California. Hi, Gloria.
Hi, Jewel. How are you?
I'm doing great on this hot, hot summer day.
I know, huh?
We're both sleepless, like,
Exactly.
minimum clothing.
Minimum clothing.
You know, Gloria, we connected not too long ago, and it was just like I had never had any distance from you. And I meet thousands of people, Gloria, but for some reason, you have made a positive impression and impact on my life. And we kept saying, okay, we got to get together again. We got to talk again. We got to share again. So I thank you for making time out of your busy schedule just to share Gloria with the world. And what I want to do in this time, Gloria, is let everybody know what you do. I know you have some great things that you've got going on. And then I would love for you to maybe just share a life-changing experience that after you got through it, you found a gift in it. You got a new, different viewpoint. You were able to be transformed. Everybody has to go through some kind of hell. Everybody goes through something that we wish didn't happen. And I love being able to show my audiences the power of faith and the power of resiliency and the power of having the courage to be transparent and let others know that they're not alone. So would you please share with my audience, who is Gloria? What is Gloria up to these days?
Who is Gloria Brown? But first of all, I'd like to say thank you so much, Jewel, for thinking of me. Again, we have been connected for many, many, many years. Mm-hmm. And it's been like, totally consistent. I think about you all the time. I'm always, I always got your material around, literally sat down at my desk, and I told you I was doing some decluttering. Sat down to this.
Okay.
Literally sat down to this. So you are in my heart. You've always been in my heart, and thank you again. So you asked the question, who is Gloria Brown? Gloria Brown is a woman of God, a vessel that has been placed here to motivate, stimulate, and empower women, no matter what has happened in their lives, no matter what. No matter what. And people say, well, I've been molested and I've been hurt and I've been devastated, and I no matter what, because there's some greatness inside. And I found this out my own self by going through the many experiences that I have. And sometimes I'm like, okay, God, for real, am I the only person who can teach this lesson?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, we do have those conversations. For real, God, for real.
Yeah, exactly. This is, and I always used to say this, I'll never make the same mistake. And that has been true. It's been many different mistakes.
Okay.
Never the same one, many different mistakes. Not even connected to the other ones. But, we live in a world where we cannot question what God has for us. And so I share with women in any capacity that they want. And it's interesting because sometimes I'm talking about a situation in my life and I'm thinking to myself, why am I talking about this? And then all of a sudden someone will say, you know what? I never told anybody that.
Yeah. So you're a willing vessel.
I am.
Yeah. I love that. I've often said, I'll prepare a message, but then when I get there, if I feel like this audience needs a totally different message, I'm listening to that spirit within, and I sense that's what you do too. Yeah.
Yes, I don't even prepare because I know it's going to get torn up before I get there. don't. I you know, what I do is I ask God to give me life-sustaining, life-saving information for whoever that audience is. And I
Amen.
trust the process.
Now, when you do this, through your books, do you have a ministry, through retreats, conferences, or all of the above?
All of the above, even at the
Okay.
grocery store.
I know. Okay.
And that has been the case where I've been at the grocery store, and it was interesting. It was two gentlemen. They were talking about their wives, and they were like, I don't know, I've taken them on vacation. We've taken them, we bought them expensive purses, and all of a sudden God just said, it's menopause. And I was like, oops. And they were like, huh? I said, it's menopause. I said, look, I said, buy their favorite ice cream, take it home, put it in a bowl, and don't say a word. And I didn't know if I'd ever see those men again. So when God tells me to speak, I speak. About 6 months later, I did run into one, and he said, thank you. And I couldn't even recognize him. I was like, okay, who is this? And he said, you were absolutely right. He said, all she needed was some quiet time, and not, you know, I was throwing things at her, and she couldn't deal with that at that point.
Sometimes it's the simplest of things.
It's the simplest of things.
So, Gloria, are you retired? Is this your livelihood? Is this a ministry? Is this full time? How do you label yourself or offer yourself to the world in service? Do you have a job? Are you going to school? What's going on?
I'm done with school. I spent, let's see, 18 years in a high level position in corporate. I walked out of there I came out of there on a stretcher in 1998 and never went back.
Too much stress?
Yeah, I was out for 4 years, literally out of my mind. I could not talk. I could not recognize my kids. I had anxiety and depression and panic disorder so bad I could not even walk downstairs to make dinner for my family. And
now, what was the process to get through that dark time? What did you do? What was for someone who's listening that may be saying, oh, I know that. I know that feeling. What I love for my audience is to receive some practical, actionable, doable steps. I know you can't share it all, but what comes to your mind that were some of the things that helped you? What were some of your guideposts to get to where you are now?
I had a journal, and I journal all the time.
Okay.
Because I couldn't get out the bed, my kids were looking at me like, what's wrong with you? And my husband was taking me to emergency because I thought I was having a heart attack almost every night.
Wow.
I picked up a journal and I started to read it for that particular day. And it was August 28th, 1998. And what it said was, you're not being punished for your past sins. I've been longing to use you for a long time, but you've been disobedient. Had you had listened, many souls would have been saved. But I'm giving you another chance. And with that, God deposited a condition with that message. And it just shook me up. And he says, you have to go back to school. And I was like, I said, God, no, you know about school. And the story about school was I had spinal meningitis when I was 5 years old. And a serious episode, so much so that half of my brain is literally white matter. So they shared with me that what my parents at that point, and I can still hear it like it was yesterday, that I would never walk, I would never talk, I would never be able to do any of the normal things that people do. And I could hear them telling my mother and father, and I was saying, no, no. And my mother was saying no, and I heard my father saying, no, that's not the case. And the doctors are like, I'm so sorry, you know, she has brain damage. And so I had a difficult time in school.
All right.
Extremely. So I learned to negotiate. I learned to manipulate and all the rest of the stuff around my disability or my ability. And so when I learned to speak up for myself, because I could not read that well, I became the spokesperson for every group that was there. Also, the level of influence came from having to fight for myself, and I mean physically fight for myself.
Wow.
In junior high school, elementary school, I was teased and ostracized by teachers, by students, and I just got tired of that. And my dad was a boxer years ago, so he had 3 girls, and he'd say, you know what, don't never pick a fight, but don't never lose a fight either. And so what that meant to him is that when people are close enough in your face, that close in your face to tell you what they're going to do to you, just sock them. And I literally fought my way.
So here you're getting this message that it's time to go back to school. How long did it take for you to finally get back on campus?
I tried immediately, but I was so sick that I couldn't. And if you've ever known anyone that suffered from anxiety or panic disorder, it literally feels like you're about to die at that very moment. And so every time I try to get in my car, and the community college was only like 3 miles away, I couldn't get there.
So again, what were some steps? You wrote in your journal. Did you take medication? Did you have a support group? Did you have a mentor? How did you?
I tried the medication. And the medication made it worse. So it was just through prayer and meditation and just being still and knowing that God was going to work whatever this thing was out.
Okay.
And for those that don't really feel like that's the case, I'm here to tell you that it is the case. I felt like when it first started that I would never, ever get through that. Never get through it. And it is through your faith. And it's a test of your faith. And what is the barometer? I had to look at the barometer of where my faith was. And I had to just, even though I couldn't see where I was going, I had to just go. So I did get to the school, and I did talk to people, but if you've not dealt with that before, people don't understand. Depression is so real. And a lot of times we walk around and we tell people to just snap out of it or get over it. That was part of my message before I realized, I guess God said, okay, you don't really understand depression. So now I'm going to sit you right down. And because you can't snap out of it.
How did it affect your relationships, your marriage, your children, your friends, your working? Well, you already shared that you finally had to leave your corporate job, but what were some of the other effects of having to live with anxiety and depression? How did you get to be more fully functioning and to where you are now?
It actually had nothing to do with anything other than I have 2 sisters that are ministers that were very prayerful and keeping me in prayer.
All right.
The steps that I took were Dr. Heyman had a program that talked about the brain.
Okay.
And that was a very powerful program. And then Lucinda Bassett years ago, my husband actually bought that program and said, here, this might help you. And it did.
What was the name of the program?
The name of that program was Overcoming Anxiety and Depression.
Okay. I'm fascinated because I do a lot of reading about the connection between the health of the brain and our emotional capacity, our emotional wellness, because so many people I come in contact with, Gloria, have been traumatized either from sexual abuse, poverty, racism, the loss of a loved one. So many things trigger them and they fall into addiction or depression or just isolation. And so I always like being able to gather tools and share with my audiences, because everybody's not in the same boat and everybody's not on the same spectrum of depression and anxiety. So that's why I'm trying to really get more specific about some of the things that really helped you to grow and to navigate this and to be more functioning and have the life that you have now. So thanks for sharing that. So you went back to school. Did you finish? Did you complete?
I went back to school, and not only did I complete, they actually told me I had to leave because this was a different experience for me. When I left school, I said I'd never go back. I negotiated my graduation because the principal said there was no way that I would graduate high school, and I negotiated that. And so when I went to the junior college, I took every class they had, because now school is different. And for people that have special needs, it is awesome. It is absolutely amazing. So I didn't want to go. I went to take sales and marketing because I knew no one could beat me there. So I kind of cheated a little bit. I took sales and marketing, and I failed the class. And the professor said, there's something wrong. He says, you are brilliant. He said, I've listened to you. You've taught me many things. He says, so do you have a learning disability? And I looked at him and I was like, obviously you don't know who I am. I make blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, I know. You make six figures and you've been there forever. And yeah, I know. Do you have a learning disability? And I said, yes. And he asked me to take the exam again. And I said, no. And he said, no, I want to give it to you again. And so he did, in a different way. And he gave it to me in a way that I could understand it. And he allowed me freedom to be open and share with him how I learned. And
so let me get this timeline clear. Are you saying that you did this after you left corporate America and you were going through your healing process and you felt prompted by the Spirit to return to college? Am I correct?
You are correct. I was 46 years old.
46 years old, went back to college. All right. And
yeah. Go ahead. So he asked me to go to the Disabled Student Center and talk to the director. And I told him, no, I used to call that the little yellow bus class. And I wasn't going to the little yellow bus class. And he said, no, I really want you to go and talk with her. So I ended up being a spokesperson for the Disabled Student Center. Okay. And then after they told me I had to go to the next level because I had taken every class, literally, I became a board member at Chabot. And then I went on to the university, and I have a double major. I had a double major. I didn't even know I had a double major until they told me it was time for the grad check. And I said, okay. It was psychology, human development, women's studies was the minor.
So was this journey the journey that activated your awareness that you have the ability and the desire to become a leader, a speaker, and to pour into other people's lives? Did that activate it? That experience with going back?
That had been activated way before that.
Okay.
But I didn't have the credentials, so I didn't feel adequate in those areas because I felt like, okay, I don't have the credentials. And sometimes we feel that way, and we do. We do have the ability. We are experts in fields that we may not have the paper for. So the paper was my own personal goal.
Yeah.
That was mine.
So now, as a wife and a mother, you know, we go through many different challenges and chapters and crises in our lives. And I know for myself, as I've gone through many different challenges and crises, I realized that all that I had been studying and all that I had been pouring into others, it was now my time. It's like, oh, okay. God, you mean I got to practice what I've been preaching? You mean I have
Exactly.
to actually use this stuff? This is no longer academic. This is real. And
Exactly.
so then I look back and I say, I thank God that I've had the books and I have the notes and I have the journals and I
Yeah.
have the experiences, and not only just my faith, but I've actually made a deposit in myself as well as into others, which have allowed me to endure the uncomfortable, to endure the sadness, to endure loss. Um, does that resonate with you at all?
Most definitely, because I feel that it is the pain, it is the grief, it is the things that you feel so deeply inside that hurt you, that brings you to a level to be able to share with others, because you've got to be significantly uncomfortable to grow. Anyone that has had a child or any or been ill or had surgery, it's uncomfortable. It's totally uncomfortable. So yes, it does resonate with me, because I've got 3 children. I have one that had a drug problem. I have one that's absolutely amazing, but quiet, very emotional at times. He's 41 years old now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got that baby that's just running out there wild, and just wild as can be. And
Okay.
then I've just recently uh, become divorced after a 37-year relationship, a 29-year marriage, and now I'm 1 year divorced. So learning who I am in this space has
Mm.
been interesting, because we talk about self-care, but we really, I really didn't understand. I taught self-care and I had no clue until I went and had a massage and a facial and went shopping and came back to my nice little place and sat at the dining room table and started to cry.
Yeah.
And I was just overwhelmed with emotion. And I said, this is not self-care. And like you shared, the books and all of the things that we read and go back to the notes and things like that
Mhm.
is what gets you through. Because I picked up a magazine and it said self-care. And I was like, forget this magazine. But then I opened
Okay.
it and it said self-care has to do with the mind, the body, and the spirit.
Yeah.
It
And
has.
Gloria, you're probably like me and so many of my audience. We didn't have role models of our mothers or grandmothers or nanas that had the luxury or the disposable time or even the tools to incorporate self-care. So for many of us, it's like, well, what does that look like? And is that selfish? And does it really work? And do we take it to the extreme, or do we apologize for it? Or do we ever fully
Hmm.
become flat-footed in my new identity? That, okay, now I'm in a new chapter. I'm no longer somebody's mom. The nest is empty, or I no longer have this title. I'm no longer part of corporate America. I no longer have this ring on my finger. I'm single again. So you go through a lot of emotions of, who am I now? And so I'm wondering, you had a history of anxiety and depression. Was any of that triggered? Were you able to, and are you able to still rebirth yourself in a healthier way, because you understand now who you are and you have those tools to help you and support you in birthing the new Gloria?
It's interesting that you asked that question, because I never knew that my anxiety was associated to my marriage
Okay. Come on
until
now.
I left.
Mm.
And I was sitting here one day and I was so calm and so peaceful. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, we still had somewhat of a relationship. Unfortunately, it got real ugly. But every time I'd see him, I'd feel that anxiety that I had been living with for so long because we dismiss a lot of things. We see them, we departmentalize them, we leave them
we put it in a little box.
Exactly. We lock it up.
We get comfortable with it.
Exactly. It's like the storage. It's like storage.
Yeah. It's like, this is my norm. And I guess this is the way marriage is supposed to be. And maybe it's something wrong with me, or I'll just keep tolerating and tolerating. I know for me, I've always said I have a high tolerance level till I realized I was tolerating the wrong things. I shouldn't be bragging about, oh, I got a high tolerance level. But are you tolerating things that you don't have to tolerate?
Exactly. And, and I prayed a lot about, it was not easy for me to walk away. It really was not easy for me to walk away. Sure. I prayed and I prayed, and I even asked God to show me signs, and he showed me signs, and I was like, that ain't the right sign, God. No, I need to see something else. And he kept showing me, and he kept showing me until I surrendered to him. And I realized that, it's only when I surrender is that I become whole again. You cannot heal unless you're real.
I love that. And what I also found too, Gloria, is that many of us pray for God to order our steps, but then we don't have the courage to take the steps.
You're right.
And so what I'm hearing is that you finally said, okay, God, I give up. That's you.
He put it in my face. He put it so in my face till I realized afterwards that he was saving my life as much as my vows were important to me. And we know, I had to go buy the minister's book because I said, you know what? Weddings are so beautiful and everybody's there and you're all dressed up. What did I say? And what did he say? So I went and found the little black book with all the ceremonies in it.
Mine's right there.
Yeah. And I started checking off things, and I was like, no, he didn't do, oh, no. But God, and I still stayed, and I still didn't pay attention to what was going on with me. And I'll tell you right now, I literally, I share with people that I don't blame him for being him. He was always him. And it's interesting because there's a passcode that I used to always use. And he would ask me, why would I use that passcode? Did I forget when we got married? And I was like, no. And he was like, that's weird. He said, that's not the year we got married. I said, I know. And he said he never could figure it out. So close to the end of the divorce, I told him, I said, that is the day that I found out that you were unfaithful to me. And I should have said no. So to remind me, before making any rash decisions, look at this date, this time, and realize that God spoke to me and told me no, and I went ahead. So I cannot blame him for any of the indiscretions, the lies, the manipulation. I married a 6-year-old wounded little boy that I thought I could help.
That you thought you could help. And so your anxiety and depression, you realize, was rooted in your self-denial.
That's correct.
Neglecting yourself, betraying yourself.
That's correct.
I wrote a book, Follow Your Heart, but Take Your Brain With You. And here we talked about your brain earlier. We talked about your brain earlier. Sometimes we don't take our brain with us, and maybe our brain, was damaged in a car accident or illness, but we need the wisdom.
Relationship.
Or it just fell out. Like what? Like what was I thinking? You weren't thinking. That's the problem. You weren't thinking. You. So yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you being candid and transparent about that, because I believe somebody's like, what? Oh my God, she said it. She's still telling my story. Oh my God.
Well, what happened is that when the divorce was finalized, because I went boldly into the courtroom and said, I'm not coming here no more. we've been coming here for almost a year. I'm not coming no more. I said, I need a divorce today. And the judge was like, well, we don't do it like that. I said, you're going to do it like that today, because I'm not coming back here anymore. I'm not. I'm regaining who I am. This pain I will hear. I will feel no more. I will feel no more. And so he sat around and he looked and he took us in his chamber and talked to us. And then he came out and he said, I want you to just sit here. At the end of the day, from 9 in the morning till 5 in the afternoon, 4:48, it took him to draw up the divorce decree. And he came out of his chambers and handed it to me. I didn't even have to go back and get it. I was like, look, I'm not coming back. He was like, well, this is not what this hearing's for. But sometimes we have to take a stand for ourselves.
Yes.
Or even with our children, with our employers, and with our employees, you know, the people that we deal with, associates that we have, you have to take a stand. So if we keep going on this vicious circle, through this vicious cycle, nothing will heal. It's like going to the hospital and saying, you know, I have a horrible headache. I don't know what's happening. It's a migraine headache. And you know it's not a migraine headache. It's a stomach ache because you've been eating too much stuff that's made you feel bad.
Yes,
so normally when you feel bad, everything feels bad. So you just picture head. And then they start to do tests and they do MRIs and they come back and they say, well, we didn't find anything. You've got to be able to tell the truth.
Tell the truth.
Your lie. And I use that term because most of the time we will tell a little bit of the truth and a lot of the lie.
Yeah.
And it happened with me, and this is a quick example. I did Weight Watchers for like 3 years, 7 o'clock Monday evenings. I would go to Weight Watcher meetings. My goal was 45 pounds. At the end of these 3 years, the woman asked, she said, okay, how's this journey been for everybody? People were raising their hands. They had lost 100 pounds. Some had lost 70 pounds. Some had lost 50 pounds. And I'm like applauding for them. And I'm like, this is awesome. But I'm a people person. So I went there. I literally had clients there, met clients. I met people. It was a lovely experience. So when they asked me, I said, well, okay, here's the truth about my lie. The truth is that I have been here every Monday at 7 for 3 years. Now, I would tell a lie if I said that I lost a pound, because I didn't. And it's not because I did not, it's because I did not follow the program. So we don't get results when we don't follow the program, and we don't get results if we don't tell the truth.
Tell the truth. Well, Gloria, you know, this has been such a wonderful conversation, catching up with you. And what you just shared is a real example of what empowerment is. Empowerment is what you just said, taking a stand, putting a line in the sand. This is as far as I'm going. I'm taking my power back, taking my joy back. And I thank you for sharing that example of what empowerment can look like and what the benefit of that is, that it is about truth telling. It is about being accountable. It is about speaking your truth. And I just applaud you. I am so happy for you. May your journey continue with courage and great faith and love and peace as you move forward in your life. And I pray that when this pandemic is over, we do get together again. I would love for you to meet the sisters in my ministry called Women on the Grow. I would love for you to come and share, because I know you have a lot inside of you, and I know they'll absolutely love you. And I respect you, my sister, and I pray God's best blessings on your life.
Thank you. And and you have been a jewel in my life since I've met you. I don't even know if you remember when that was, but it was a long, long time ago. And you are amazing. You are a shero.
Mm.
I looked so forward to hearing and seeing and reading what you put out there and the response of the women. I'm very familiar with in this area a lot of the women that share in your ministry and how they are growing and how they are reaching out and how they are being able to lead from a place of disparity in
Yes.
some cases. So thank
Well,
you for being all that you are and all that God has made you.
well, Gloria, I received that, and I want my audience to know that when people have been hurt like you, there's only three things we can do. We either hurt ourselves, we hurt other people, or
Yes,
we help people.
that's correct.
And so I'm so glad that through your hurt, you are helping others, and you are helping to be a midwife, and you're laying the groundwork, and you're offering the tools for those that have been hurt, betrayed,
Yes.
disappointed. And so I know God is going to continue to shower you with many, many blessings. And Wakanda love to you, my sister. Wakanda forever.
To you as well.
All right, dear. I love you.
I love
Stay
you
tight.
too. Thank you.